Have you ever walked into a room and felt like something shifted, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it? Maybe people turned their heads, maybe conversations paused, or maybe someone smiled just a second too long. You didn't say a word, you weren't trying to impress anyone, and yet something about your presence left an impact. The truth is, many women, especially as we grow older, tend to forget or overlook just how powerful our energy really is. We start believing that beauty fades, that attention belongs to the younger crowd, or that we've somehow become invisible. But what if I told you none of that is true? What if the very things you've lived through, the heartbreaks, the resilience, the quiet strength, have only made you more magnetic than ever before? Today, we're going to uncover 7 subtle signs that you are far more attractive than you realize, not in the way social media defines it. This is deeper. This is about presence, about how you make people feel and how you carry yourself without even trying. So, if you've ever doubted your own light, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might start seeing yourself in a whole new way. 1. You attract without trying. Have you ever had someone open up to you out of nowhere? Maybe it was a stranger in line at the store, a coworker you barely knew, or even a child who instantly felt safe around you. They started talking, sharing, even smiling, and you weren't doing anything special. You were just being yourself. This happens more often than you think. One woman told me she was sitting at a park bench, just watching the ducks, when a young man sat beside her and without warning started talking about his breakup. He said, "You just seem like someone who'd understand." He didn't know her name, didn't know her story, but he felt her energy. That's what quiet presence does. You don't walk into a room needing attention, but people notice anyway. It's not about looks or age or charm. It's about how safe, how calm, how centered you feel to be around. And the truth is, that's something most people are starved for. It might show up in small ways. A cashier remembers your face and smiles a little brighter. A neighbor lingers a moment longer to chat. Someone you barely know sends you a message just to check in. You didn't ask for any of it, but you create a space where people feel seen, and that's magnetic. So if this sounds familiar, don't brush it off. You're not just being nice. You're carrying something rare, an energy that doesn't beg to be noticed but still leaves a mark. That's what it means to attract without trying. 2. You command the room without saying a word. You've probably experienced this before. You walk into a room, not dressed to impress, not trying to steal the spotlight, and yet people notice. Conversations pause for half a second, a few heads turn, maybe someone straightens their posture without realizing it, and you might think, I didn't do anything. But that's the point. You didn't need to. There's a kind of presence that doesn't need volume. It doesn't come from bold colors or loud voices. It comes from the way you carry yourself, from stillness, from grace, from self-respect. And when you have that, people feel it, without you having to prove a thing. A friend of mine, she's in her early 60s now, she told me that she started noticing this shift after she turned 50. She no longer tried to blend in, but she also didn't try to stand out. She just was. And suddenly, people started treating her differently. Store clerks were more respectful. Younger women glanced at her with curiosity. Men, married or not, stood up a little straighter when she walked by. She didn't change. What changed was how deeply rooted she had become in herself. And here's what's really fascinating. That kind of presence doesn't just happen. It's earned. It's built through years of learning what really matters, of letting go of needing approval, of realizing that your worth has never been tied to someone else's attention. So if you've ever walked into a space and felt the energy shift, felt eyes turn, even briefly, know that it wasn't your outfit. It wasn't luck. It was you. Your presence is speaking louder than words ever could. And that's something no one can teach. It's something you've become. 3. Other women react to you. One of the most telling signs of quiet attractiveness is how other women respond to you. And sometimes it's not what they say, but what they don't say that reveals everything. You've probably walked into a room and felt it. The energy changes, even just a little. Maybe someone gives you a once-over, then looks away quickly. Maybe another woman compliments your earrings and then watches how you respond. Or maybe someone suddenly gets a little louder, a little more animated, as if your presence reminded them they weren't the only one being seen. Now, this isn't about competition or drama. It's about instinct. Women are deeply intuitive. We pick up on subtle energy shifts faster than anyone else. And when a woman notices you, whether through curiosity, admiration, or even a little tension, it means something in you caught her attention. Sometimes it's a warm reaction. A stranger in the restroom tells you she loves your style. A woman at a dinner party gravitates toward you, not to network, but because she senses something calming in you. That's not random. That's resonance. Other times, it's more subtle. A coworker gets unusually quiet when you speak up in a meeting. A friend of a friend seems a bit guarded for no clear reason. It's not personal. It's projection. When a woman senses confidence, especially the kind that doesn't need validation, it can stir something. Admiration, self-comparison, even old insecurities. I remember one woman telling me she was at a wedding reception, standing alone by the buffet, when another woman came up and said, "You just seem like someone who's got it all together. What's your secret?" There was no jealousy, just curiosity, and maybe even a little awe. Here's the truth. When women notice you, it's because they feel you. Not just the way you look, but the way you move, the way you listen, the way you take up space without shrinking or shouting. And whether they respond with warmth or distance, it's a sign. You're being seen. So the next time you sense someone reacting to you, don't question it. Don't shrink from it. Simply notice it. Because their reaction often says more about your light than you've been willing to admit. 4. Men try to challenge you. Attraction doesn't always show up as flattery. Sometimes it shows up as resistance. You may have noticed this. Some men don't compliment you right away. Instead, they tease, they push, they challenge you in conversation. Maybe they make a sarcastic remark or act unimpressed on purpose. And you're left thinking, did I say something wrong? But no, you didn't. What's happening is something deeper. When a man is intrigued by you, but unsure of how to handle it, he may test you. Not out of cruelty, but curiosity. He wants to see how you react. Can you hold your own? Are you as confident as you seem? Are you easily shaken? A woman I know told me she was at a networking event and a man walked up and said, "You don't strike me as the type who needs advice from anyone." At first, she wasn't sure if that was a compliment or a dig, but she smiled and said, "You're right, but I'm always open to a good perspective." And just like that, he leaned in. His tone changed. He was hooked. This kind of interaction happens more often than we realize. A man may joke that you seem too polished or ask if you always get your way. These are subtle attempts to disarm you, to knock you off balance just enough to see what's real beneath the surface. Because deep down, what he's feeling is intimidation, wrapped in curiosity. Now, here's the secret. Your power lies in not reacting emotionally. You don't have to prove anything. You don't need to match his energy. Just meet it with calm, with grace, with that quiet confidence that says, "You can question me, but I'm still grounded." And when you do that, he won't know what hit him. Because a woman who can't be shaken, who smiles in the face of challenge, is unforgettable. So if you've ever had a man try to poke at you, test you, or even play it too cool around you, take it as a sign. He noticed you. You unsettled something in him, and he's just trying to catch up. 5. Strangers stare. Without realizing it. Have you ever been walking down the street, minding your business, and felt someone's eyes on you? You look up and someone quickly looks away. Or maybe they hold your gaze just a second too long. They weren't trying to flirt. They weren't even smiling. But something passed between you in that moment, and you felt it. That's not your imagination. That's not you being too sensitive. That's what happens when your energy speaks before you do. This kind of attention is different from catcalls or surface-level compliments. It's not loud. It's quiet, involuntary, and often subconscious. People, men and women alike, will glance at you because something about your presence pulls them in. Not in a sexual way necessarily, but in a human way. They feel drawn to you and they don't always know why. A woman once told me that she was at a quiet cafe, sipping tea and reading a book, when she noticed a man across the room staring, not aggressively, just curiously. When their eyes met, he looked down, almost embarrassed. Later, when he passed by, he simply said, "I don't know what it is about you, but there's something peaceful about the way you sit." She hadn't spoken a word. That's the kind of magnetism that doesn't need makeup, fashion, or noise. It's not about attracting attention on purpose. It's about embodying something that naturally invites it. And here's the thing. The way people respond when you make eye contact tells you everything. If they quickly look away, they were caught staring. If they hold your gaze, even for just a second longer than usual, they're intrigued. If they smile or adjust themselves, fix their shirt, clear their throat, straighten up, it's their body trying to keep up with what their heart just felt. That's presence. That's energy. And it's one of the clearest signs that your beauty and your strength are speaking volumes, without you saying a single word. So the next time you feel eyes on you when you're doing absolutely nothing special, don't brush it off, don't shrink from it, just notice it. That's your power showing up before you do. 6. People assume you have options. You've probably heard it before. Someone says, "I bet you have a line of people waiting to date you," or "You don't seem like someone who needs a man." Maybe it came with a smile, or maybe a little edge of frustration. Either way, the message was clear. They assume you have choices. And here's the twist. You might not. You might be single, you might not be dating, you might not even be interested. But still, people assume you could have anyone you want. Why? Because your energy says so. There's a certain calmness, a freedom that comes when you no longer chase validation. You're not trying to impress, not playing games, not waiting for someone to complete you. You walk into a room whole, and people feel that. They see a woman who seems comfortable in her own skin and they think, someone like her doesn't settle. Someone like her must have options. One woman told me a story about a man she had just met at a charity event. He asked if she was seeing anyone, and when she said no, he replied, "Really? I find that hard to believe." She laughed, not because it was flattering, but because it said more about his perception of her than anything else. This phenomenon is called pre-selection in psychology. It means people are often more attracted to someone they believe others are attracted to. It's not about popularity, it's about perception. And perception is driven by how you carry yourself. So what does this mean for you? It means you don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to explain why you're single or what you're looking for. The simple fact that people assume you have options is proof that you radiate something powerful, self-worth. And here's a tip. Don't correct them. Don't downplay it. If someone says, "I bet people chase after you," just smile. Let them think what they want. Because the truth is, when you know your value, you stop needing to explain it. And that, in itself, makes you even more attractive. 7. Women get upset when you don't notice them. This one can feel confusing, and sometimes even a little painful. You walk into a room and suddenly a woman who was just laughing goes quiet. A coworker who's usually polite starts acting cold. Someone you barely know seems irritated with you, and you're left thinking, what did I do? The truth? You didn't do anything. You just walked in with your light on. What you're experiencing isn't rejection. It's reaction. It's what happens when your presence shifts the balance of attention, even if you weren't trying to. And for some women, especially those who haven't yet fully stepped into their own confidence, your quiet magnetism can feel unsettling. It's not about you being better. It's not about you stealing the spotlight. It's about how your self-possession can unintentionally bring up their own insecurities. When you're grounded, calm, and at peace with yourself, it shows. And sometimes it reflects back to others what they wish they felt, but don't yet. A woman once told me she was invited to a small gathering by a friend. She didn't wear anything flashy, didn't speak too loudly, just smiled and participated like anyone else. Yet by the end of the night, one woman barely looked at her, and another made a snide comment about her being too poised. She left feeling confused until she realized it wasn't about her, it was about the way her energy filled the room. Sometimes, when women feel unseen, they notice when someone else is. And if you've ever found yourself being treated coldly or dismissed by someone you've never wronged, take a breath. Don't internalize it. Understand that it might just be a reflection of how deeply you are being seen, not just by men, but by other women too. So what do you do with that? Stay kind. Stay grounded. Don't shrink, but don't fight. Let your presence speak for itself. Because a woman who can remain soft in the face of resistance is not only strong, she's unforgettable. And remember, reactions, good, bad, or silent, are proof that your light is being felt. So now you've heard them. 7 signs. And maybe, for the first time, you're starting to connect the dots. Maybe some of these moments felt familiar. Maybe you thought they were just coincidences. But they weren't. People don't respond to nothing. That lingering stare, that unsolicited compliment, that awkward silence from someone who suddenly feels small in your presence, it's all energy, and it's all real. You see, attraction isn't just about appearance. It's not about perfect skin or a certain number on the scale. It's about presence. It's about how you make people feel without even trying. And that kind of presence, it's built over time. It's shaped through heartbreak, healing, boundaries, lessons, and 1,000 quiet decisions to choose peace over chaos. You've earned your energy. You've grown into your confidence. You've softened without breaking. And that is rare. What I want you to understand is this. You are being noticed, even when you feel invisible. You are being admired, even if no one's saying it out loud. You are already someone others look up to, even if they don't know how to tell you. But none of that matters until you see it in yourself. Because the moment you stop chasing validation, the moment you stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start saying, "I already am," that's when something shifts. That's when you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. So tonight or tomorrow morning, when you catch your reflection in the mirror, pause for a second. Look a little deeper. Not at the wrinkles or the gray hairs or the tired eyes. Look past that. Look at the strength, the softness, the woman who's walked through storms and still chooses to show up with grace. She's not used to be beautiful. She is, and she always has been. If this video spoke to something in you, if it made you feel seen, even just a little, I'd love for you to stay connected. You can subscribe for more quiet truths, more reminders of who you really are, and more space to just be. And if there's someone in your life, a sister, a friend, a daughter, who's forgotten how magnetic she truly is, maybe share this with her. Sometimes we all need to be reminded from the outside before we can believe it on the inside. Thank you for spending this time with me. I see you, and I hope more and more you start to see yourself too.